Yo, what's up? Uh, yo, what's up? Plan X boy, AJ, and DJ all day. Said the whole thing. This is a thoughtless encounter. Um, it's filled with a bunch of my thoughts, but it's pretty much a thoughtless encounter. So I don't know when this is gonna come out, but essentially, it's me pretty much discussing or putting out my thoughts when it comes to like something that I've been thinking about today. It's Sunday. It's Mother's Day, but I'm probably gonna drop this in like a week or two if I ever do. If this is on the internet, then uh, so today being Mother's Day, it's a beautiful day for all the women, all the mothers, single mothers, um, even mothers with partners, from like a parenting perspective, right? Um, I grew up with both my parents. I was lucky and blessed enough to have that, even though there was like a whole lot of turmoil and stuff like that. But I grew up with most of my parents, with both of my parents. Woo. And days like this are a bit tough for me. And I'm sure it's a bit tough for a lot of people. But like the most beautiful thing I said today was everybody putting up like their moms, um, shouting out their moms, and having like beautiful messages and taking them out and buying them gifts and stuff like that. And then I remembered, well, I kind of figured that I don't do that on Mother's Day, nor would I. But I kind of did, solely because there's a lot of growth that I've gone through over the last 6 months, over the last year, over the last 2 years. And within that growth comes like a whole lot of thoughts and things that I kind of have to figure out. Um, I have like a very difficult relationship with my mother, and I saw someone's TikTok post about how they've seen that a lot of people would be saying, "Oh no, my mom's a narcissist," or "I don't have the greatest relationship with my mom," or this, that, and the other, and she can't relate. And she did put out like some really dope, valid points. Her name is Kia. She put out like dope, valid points about how her mom was always a mom, regardless of anything that happened in her life. And I didn't necessarily feel like I could relate in that degree. Reason being is my mom was my mom for the longest time because she was my mom and I lived under her roof and I had my parents. And I didn't really understand what that entailed until like I grew up, in the sense of she did the things that she was supposed to do as a parent, right? So as a parent, she fed me, she clothed me, she took me to school. My dad, of course, and she had troubles. Let me use the word had. I don't really know, but she had troubles, which she still has troubles, whatever the case is. And as I grew up, after my dad passed away, I then started seeing that he wasn't necessarily the main problem of all the issues that they had um, in the household. So she was still the same person even after he was gone. And that kind of confused me because then I was like, oh, I thought he was like the main thing that like got you riled up, but now he's not there, so there's no one to rile you up, and things happened or whatever. Maybe one day I'll do a story time or like explain this whole entire thing in detail. But for now, I just want to get my point across. So for a very long time, I spent like years trying to work on that particular relationship or try and mend it and fix it, or like put my family together or keep it together to some degree, which never really worked. And then I had my daughter, and that had its own issues, and I didn't like the process of that. So I kind of separated the two. I was like, I'm gonna be a parent in this vein, and this other section of my life doesn't necessarily exist, nor would it like coincide in any point in time. Growing up and sort of maturing a little bit kind of made me realize that I can't really separate the two. So I could, but days like this, or like on birthdays or anything like that, I then realized that I don't, or I haven't had that type of relationship with my mom where I could be like, oh my gosh, my mom, you know. Um, I'm sure she has like a completely different perspective to that, and that's okay. It's just how I view things and how I see them, and how I feel about it. So I don't really need to add her perspective into this whole entire thing. But days like this are difficult for me and a bunch of other people. There's people who've lost their mothers. There's people who don't have a great relationship with their mothers. There's people who um, have issues here and there, but their mothers are still their mothers. And there's people who have amazing relationships with their mothers. I personally don't. I don't really talk to her like that. And actually, we don't talk. I think the last time I spoke to her was besides a text that she sent me about something specific, which lasted like 10 seconds. It was maybe last April because I went to my friend's mom's funeral and I had to go with her. So days like this is like kind of weird for me to be like, oh, mom, parent, ooh, because spending so much time on my own and spending so much time trying to figure life out on my own without the guidance or the love of a mother. I think that's also another important thing. There's a certain type of nurture and love that you get from um, your mother that you don't necessarily get from a dad. You can, but there's a certain love that you get and care and support and protection that you get from a mother that you won't really find anywhere else. And I haven't had that for a good like 5 to 10 years. And that did have like an impact on me as a person. And then I had to work through those things and unlearn certain things and like try and like become a healthier human being. And now that I'm the person that I am, I'm okay with it to some degree. I actually don't like the fact that I'm okay with it. I think, but I am. The reason for that is because I spend so much time apart from that type of love. I then went looking for it elsewhere and tried to like recreate that version of love. And then I realized that didn't work. So then I just became me and I worked on myself. And with that happening and like whatever processes I went through in life, then I managed to like be okay with it. And I don't know. I guess like you guys can tell me if it's like the worst thing or the most terrible thing. Some people might agree with me. Some people might be like, "Oh yeah, she's still your mother. She gave birth to you." You know, like the usual thing that people say. And I actually don't like having those conversations because I think with perspective, when you're so used to living a certain life, or you're so used to a certain environment, if someone else comes to you and tells you like, "Oh, I don't know, understand this thing," and you're like, how could you not? So that's mostly the conversations that I come past, which is like, yeah, she's still your mother. Yes, she gave birth to me. Yes, she's still my mother. But there are things that were lacking when it comes to that type of relationship, which I don't consider when it comes to like my current life. Um, But yeah, I will probably express some of these thoughts some other time or like in detail. It's just like a random thing that came up where I was like, mm, it's a great day. It's a beautiful day. Like, shout out to all the moms. Like, shout out to my daughter's mom. Shout out to um, all my homies' moms. Shout out to uh, my girl's mom. Shout out to all the moms that I work with at work, new moms, moms that have been moms for a very long time. Some of them hit 18, 20 years as moms, 25 years. Y'all, shout out to all of y'all, man. I see all the work that y'all do. I see the things that y'all do for your kids. I see the lengths that you'll go to for your kids. Um, I see the love that you have for them. I see the amount of effort that you put in to be a mom and to be there for your kids. And it's beautiful, man. Like all of it is amazing and it's great. And you know, it's tough. Being a mom in itself is like a really tough job. And as men, which is again another conversation for another day, we don't really do great when it comes to like being full blown parents. I mean, I'm guilty of the same thing. Um, But at the end of the day, shout out to y'all. Um, this is probably episode one of an episode that I might throw away just because Plan X Boy, PXP has probably either returned or is coming back. And y'all are gonna get a bunch of more of these random rants or thoughts or just me discussing stuff with people just because I can. Um, And yeah, see y'all on the flip side. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Share this. You can share your thoughts. You can just comment just because you want to tell me that I'm crazy, and that's okay. That's all good. But yeah, it's all love, gang, gang, gang.